Purdue University, West Lafayette, Indiana, January 1982. For the university, it was a year of administrative change, increasing costs, threatened budget cuts, classroom and faculty shortages, and a time of unusual weather. Snow, high winds, and bitter cold forced the university to cancel the first day of class. Severe weather continued through January. Members of the Purdue Outing Club enjoyed the challenge of nature by sleeping and cooking outside. Drinks and eggs were warmed for breakfast. The remote campsite was located on Memorial Mall. In Mackey Arena, a new state flag was unfurled at the halftime ceremonies of the Purdue-Indiana basketball game. The 45 by 75-foot nylon flag was purchased without tax funds. In the final moments of the Purdue-Iowa game, the final game of the Big Ten season, a controversial call put freshman Dan Palambizio at the free throw line with no time left on the Mackey Arena clock. Purdue won 66-65, placing fifth in the Big Ten with an overall 14-13 record. Later, the Boilers placed second in the National Invitational Tournament in Madison Square Garden after losing to Bradley University 67-58. Purdue students raised money for various organizations in different ways during the year. The Sigma Pi fraternity and Sigma Kappa sorority sponsored a pole sit to raise funds for the American Cancer Society. The cold and windy weather was unexpected when the event was scheduled. A variety of research projects continued to take place at Purdue. Bruce Papier, assistant professor of art and design, and a graduate student, Kevin Smith, were testing new microcomputers that might be useful to artists who've had no experience with computers or computer programming. The system being tested consisted of a computer terminal with a display screen, a bit pad, and a color video screen. Images could be stored, retrieved, printed, and photographed. In the Armory, the junior class members of the Air Force ROTC presented the Junior Corps Day. Cadet officers demonstrated drill proficiency, and outstanding cadets were recognized. In a chemistry lecture, Professor George Bodner used specially prepared slides to explain a difficult concept. Outside, Professor Samuel Busselwaite was on a field trip with freshmen in a plant science class. A few days before the Grand Prix kart race, the concert band performed the 1812 Overture with fireworks at Slater Center. During Gala Week, the annual spring homecoming, the School of Mechanical Engineering held a banquet as part of a centennial celebration that included tours, talks, and receptions. Returning alumni assembled for the traditional class parade. Members of the class of 1932 celebrated their golden anniversary. Participants and spectators celebrated the silver anniversary of the first Purdue Grand Prix. Alumni drivers participated in brief time sprints and a short race. Grand Marshal of the 1982 Grand Prix was President Emeritus Frederick Hovde.
Gentlemen, start your engines.
John Brennan, an environmental engineering senior, was declared winner of the race. Boilermaker Challenge, a Sunday afternoon football scrimmage between the Purdue varsity and an alumni team, wound up the gala week. The alumni scored first on a pass from Joe Metallic to Raymond Smith. By the end of the game, the varsity had won 24-10. During the spring semester, retiring Purdue President Arthur Hansen and his wife Nancy were recipients of special tributes and gifts from a variety of organizations representing university alumni, faculty, students, staff, and friends. Hansen, who announced his Purdue resignation last fall, left to become Chancellor of Texas A&M University. Hansen, the first alumnus to serve as Purdue's president, came to Purdue as an engineering student in the Marine V-12 program during World War II. He received a BS degree in 1946 and an MS degree in 1948 before going to the Case Institute of Technology for a doctorate. He'd been president of Purdue since 1971. A record 7,740 degree candidates were eligible to participate in Purdue University's commencement, May 15th and 16th, in the Elliott Hall of Music. Because of the record number of candidates, 3 ceremonies were expanded to 4 to help accommodate more family members. John Hicks became acting president of the university on July 1st. Hicks came to Purdue as a graduate student in 1946, joined the agricultural economics faculty in 1950, became executive assistant to President Hovde in 1955, and continued in that position for President Hansen.
Today, more than ever, Purdue is the right university in the right place at the right time. We have the programs which the students are seeking, the engineering, the technology, the science, the computers, the areas in which job opportunities are excellent. We are developing the new knowledge which is so important to high technology industries. And these are the types of industries which the state of Indiana must retain and attract if we're going to restructure our economy. Never has there been a more challenging time to be a student, faculty member, or even the chief executive of a university. And I must admit I'm enjoying my acting presidency at Purdue very much.
Not only were there changes in the administration, but there were changes in the campus scenery. New buildings were going up, one was coming down, and old ones were being repaired or remodeled. In the Memorial Union, a new Union Market was opened to replace the old cafeteria. A colorful food shopping mall offered patrons diverse choices of beverages and food. 6 checkout stations were installed to help customers save time during rush periods. A new undergraduate library was opened in time for the fall semester. The building, 2 stories high but nearly all underground, is located between Stewart Center and State Street. A bunker-like entrance in front of Stewart Center is surrounded by a plaza of lawn, trees, and walkways. Daylight floods into some of the underground library through windows facing an ivy garden. The below-ground design of the $9.4 million building is expected to cut the costs of heating, cooling, and maintenance. A 24-hour study area was opened before the final exam period of the spring semester. Before a special recognition program October 2nd, Esther Ellis Norton, class of 1927, was photographed with acting President Hicks and library personnel next to a plaque honoring her. Mrs. Norton, a retired librarian, made a generous challenge grant to help stock the bookshelves. She donated $150,000 with the condition that the university would match her contribution. The building will provide study space for 1,300 students and storage for more than 1 million books. It's intended that the undergraduate library will be used primarily by freshmen and sophomores. The Krannert Building, facing the front of Memorial Union, is located at the corner of State and Grant Streets. To the viewer's right, or just west of the Krannert Building and next to the Wesley Foundation, is the new Center for Executive Education and Research. The center, scheduled for completion in 1983, is a $3 million gift from the estate of Elnora and Herman C. Krannert. The new $9.5 million agricultural research building directly south of Entomology Hall will provide space for laboratories, offices, and other facilities for scientists and students from different agricultural disciplines. Demolition of the Michael Golden Building at the corner of Grant Street and Northwestern Avenue began in January to make room for the new School of Technology building. The old adjoining Michael Golden laboratories on the west side of the building were to remain. Construction on the new 4-story technology building began in the spring, and it was ahead of schedule by late fall. It was scheduled to be open by the fall semester of 1984. A new intercollegiate athletic facility that filled a variety of needs is located east of the stadium and north of Mackey Arena. The volleyball season opener was the first intercollegiate game in the new facility, and the opponent was Indiana University. This is one of 2 courts in the building, among the first in the country lined and painted especially for volleyball. Purdue won the game, finished the regular season at 31 wins, no losses, captured the 3rd Big Ten championship in 4 years, and placed 2nd in the NC2A Mideast Regional. The Monon Spike, a traveling trophy symbolizing the volleyball rivalry between Purdue and Indiana University, was presented at the IU football game. The women's cross-country team was host for a Boilermaker Invitational in early October on the North Golf Course. Rebecca Cotta, number 419, later in the year was named cross-country All-American when she placed 13th in the NC2A National Cross-Country Championships. The Purdue women's track and cross-country teams included 6 women who were named All-American at the 1982 AIAW Indoor National Championships in March. In September, the Purdue President's Council celebrated a 10th anniversary in the Purdue Union North Ballroom. Richard Pettigrew, chairman of the council, presented a certificate of appreciation to William E. Lumen, director of the Purdue Musical Organizations. It would be one of the last public performances for Lumen, who died 7 weeks later. Lumen came to Purdue in 1943 as a freshman and became the first paid accompanist for PMO. After graduating, he returned to Purdue in 1957 as an assistant director and accompanist. Upon the retirement of Dr. Albert P. Stewart, Lumen was named acting director and then director of PMO in 1975. At the same meeting, Governor Robert D. Orr created 10 new Sagamores of the Wabash, Indiana's highest honor. 9 of the awards went to men who'd served as chairman of the President's Council, a Purdue fundraising group. Accepting the awards were Eugene Berg, George Belluri, Ralph Bailey, Richard Vining, Paul Orifice, Joseph Harnett, Richard Pettigrew, and John Jameson. Also named a Sagamore of the Wabash was John Day, Vice President for Development at Purdue University. Financing an education was becoming increasingly difficult. In 5 years, the cost of a fall and spring semester at Purdue had increased 45% for Indiana residents and 61% for out-of-state students. These costs included fees, room and board, and other costs. Director of Financial Aid's Donald E. Holick said,
"As the cost of a college education increases, more students are forced to look for financial help to attend Purdue University. Student financial aid programs are assisting over half of the students attending Purdue. One bright spot in a dismal financial aid year has been the significant increase in scholarships provided by alumni, outside award donors, and businesses. Purdue alumni have nearly doubled their support in the past few years. These scholarships have made a Purdue education possible for many students who deeply appreciate the help. On behalf of all of them, thank you."
Purdue continued to offer students the opportunity to prepare for many different kinds of careers. In a hangar at the Purdue airport, students learned to repair airplanes and to check the parts of a helicopter under a strobe light as part of their work in an aviation technology program. In a nearby building, students learned to fly as part of the work in general aviation flight technology. Across the campus in the School of Aeronautics and Astronautics, only experienced pilots like Air Force Captain William Eucas, a graduate student, were able to perform the tasks for this advanced research. The project used a computer to simulate the motion of the aircraft and automatic systems. Professor David Schmidt conducted the research to help design better flight control devices for the air and spacecraft of tomorrow. Over the past 4 years, about 100 undergraduate students have worked with Purdue's Getaway Special, a canister of experiments expected to ride the space shuttle of 1983. One experiment was designed to test the influence of gravity on selected seeds to be grown in space. The seeds, grown in a fibrous material, will be turned on a revolving disc. In another experiment, a 16-millimeter motion picture camera from a World War II combat plane was focused on a liquid to film what will happen to it in space. An emulsion block was designed to record the behavior of cosmic rays. Rays passing through the block will leave a record of their path in the emulsion. Complex, self-contained power supplies and circuits had to be designed and constructed to meet the demands of the experiments. John Snow, assistant professor of geosciences, was faculty advisor to the student group. The opportunity for students to design experiments for the shuttle was provided as a unique gift by Harold Ritchie, holder of 4 Purdue degrees. There was lots of action in Ross-Ade Stadium on football Saturdays. New this year was the world's largest Indiana state flag. The largest drum had a bandage after surviving a wreck. A super spoof, the world's largest cymbals, were introduced. At homecoming, about 200 alumni returned to perform in the alumni band. June Ciampa Lauer, Golden Girl for the alumni band, was the Golden Girl of 1961, 2, and 3. Anna Jane, a senior in industrial engineering from Champaign, Illinois, was crowned homecoming queen by Judy Wolverton Brandt, 1957 homecoming queen. In the third quarter of the Northwestern game, Purdue was leading 20-7. When Purdue got the ball, Mel Gray ran from the Purdue 26 to the Northwestern 31. On the next play, sophomore Tim Richardson picked up 27 yards to the Northwestern 4. Then Steve Griffin caught his first touchdown pass from Scott Campbell to give the Boilers a commanding 27-7 lead. The final score, Purdue 34, Northwestern 21. Later, at the annual homecoming banquet, acting president of Purdue University, John Hicks, received the Distinguished Alumnus Award for meritorious service to Purdue and the Alumni Association. And it seemed like no time had passed when a 28-foot blue spruce in the Great Hall of the Memorial Union symbolized the approach of the end of the semester and the winter holiday. Students helped with the decorating, and Santa got a little help from an assistant. And before long, it was time for the dress rehearsal for the annual Purdue Musical Organization's Christmas show. As 1982 drew to a close, Purdue students, faculty, and staff looked ahead to the start of a new year that promised to bring challenges and opportunities to Purdue University.